Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of Campaign Update. My name is Feena Bonoan, and I have with me the great Mike Scott, and you are watching us.
Welcome back. It's been kind of a fun week. Before we start, I just saw this, and this is terrible, and this is slightly off script. But the elephant in the room, we have to address the tragedy that was people using violence to get their way. And I just want to... Oh, no, that's the wrong one. My bad. Oh, that was Michelle from X. She said that was his dressing. I'm just making sure everyone remembers that being a victim of something horrific does not ennoble you. It doesn't make you noble. It doesn't make you a hero. Being involved in something tragic just means you were involved in something tragic. And that's assuming it wasn't staged somehow. So I don't know what's going on. I don't trust government, but I don't want to come off paranoid. But that picture was funny. I don't care who you are. Let me do that one more time.
I liked that meme. I also liked I liked the 50 Cent one.
I didn't see that one.
You didn't see the 50 Cent one? Oh my gosh, we've got to find. All right. We got
to find the 50 Cent.
So, do you remember 50 Cent "Get Rich or Die Trying" album?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Many Men.
Many men. Yeah.
Wish death upon
me. Yeah.
Right? So, 50 Cent even went out that night on concert, and the meme is basically his album cover, where it's like busted up, looking like bullet shots on glass on the body of 50 Cent, right? Put the head of Donald Trump on it. And even when 50 Cent was playing the other night, he had that up on his background. So it was pretty good.
Oh, I gotta find that. That sounds all, I'm not looking for it now. I refuse to do it now, but I'm definitely gonna find it.
So I do want to go ahead and say this. As libertarians, we do not condone the initiation of force or fraud to achieve political goals.
Thank you. We do not force, fraud, violence, none of it. But if you're going to employ that type of violence, my God, man, that wasn't easy. I could have made that shot, and I'm a terrible shot. I'm just saying. He should practice more, damn it.
Well,
I mean, I guess he can't practice
more. Mass? You know, why didn't he go for center of mass? That's usually what most folks do. But anyways, that's not the topic today. Today's topic is healthcare. But before we get into that, I have a special video. This is my little portion where I call it Liberty on the Road. So I'm going to pull it up on there.
Allow me a moment to speak. I am running for US Senate to represent you, the people of Florida, in the US Congress. And I honestly cannot be.
Hold on.
That's from last night.
This is from last night. This is from Jasper, Florida. And this is at the VFW. So please give me a little bit of grace. I'd had 2 hours of sleep. My husband was so kind to drive us out there, but I think I did a pretty good job. Anytime someone comes on afterwards and was like, I'm not a public speaker, I feel like, I must have sounded professional then. So this is a great one for folks that have been waiting for me to speak without notes because you've only seen me speak one time. Here we go.
Anything better to send the U.S. Congress, or excuse me, the U.S. Senate specifically, the U.S. Senate right now, than a libertarian, native-born, Florida veteran, patriotic woman to serve in the U.S. Senate, someone that's going to put the people's priorities ahead of any political party's needs. I do want to apologize. I was running a little bit late, and we're coming from Jacksonville. I need to thank my husband for driving out here. He's in the audience. Thank you, Dean. And a little bit about me. I was born here in Florida, in Sarasota. I've got a lot of family that was born and raised here in Florida. Now, I didn't get to stay here in Florida my whole life. I was kidnapped a true Florida girl style and taken into the mountains of North Carolina where I was raised. And from there, I joined the military, and I spent 10 years in the Navy. In those years, I was a computer programmer for the weapons system. I was also a community relations coordinator in many foreign countries like Ukraine, which is a big hot button for most people right now, right? Also Georgia, Denmark, Italy, Spain, Greece. I've been around the world, and you know what I see? I see the same problems everywhere. I see that there's good people that they want to help and they want to do good. They want to help. But the way that they're going about it, you're missing the most precious part of our country, of our future, and that's our children. So I've been working my entire life to run for office, to serve the people. I grew up very poor. My mother was a waitress. She made $2.13 an hour. And she was denied food stamps with 3 kids, single mother, denied food stamps because she smoked marijuana. That's a problem. That's punishing our children. I also watch the injustices of the criminal justice system as they punish the poor and force them into and coerce them into plea bargaining system. And folks, I'm a libertarian, so I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. And I understand the purpose of our Constitution, of our Congress, of our government is the criminal justice system. And I hear so many of you folks over here that are very passionate about your community and the criminal justice system. I do have experience in that in addition to watching it firsthand from my family. I was also a prison guard in the military, where I watched people plead their lives away to avoid a more heinous punishment. And that's wrong. And we also see all the time in the news where someone gets off on a plea bargain that should be in jail. They should be in jail, and they're not. They get probation. You got someone that has done physical violence to someone, you're gonna see them at the grocery store next week. That is wrong, my friend. That is wrong. Innocent people and victims, we deserve retribution, and criminals deserve punishment. Now, what does it mean to have a libertarian in office? Well, I'll tell you what it means. It means prosperity. Because we believe in free and open markets. We believe in maximum freedom and limited government. We believe in the least amount of taxation possible. In fact, we're the only party that still says taxation is theft. I want to share with you one final thought. It's a mantra from my campaign that I've been using. And we've been using, it's imagine. Imagine if we had the same enthusiasm for building rockets to go to outer space as we do for rockets with warheads on them to send to foreign countries. From the moment we first learned of our sun's demise, our star, we had a moral obligation to our future generations to work together to find a way to escape this peril. And it's bigger than one person. It's bigger than one generation. It's gonna take a long time. But if we all do what we can, when we can, together, we can save the future of humanity. Once again, my name is Feena Bonoan, and I am running for US Senate. Thank you.
All right. So that was, sorry, I got you muted. That was from the VFW, and I did find, if you bear with me for just 1 second, go ahead. Let's talk about healthcare, and I'm gonna bring up that 50 cent meme. You start first.
So, healthcare. I was talking to my aunt again this morning. She's the one that she understands and agrees with me in principle, but she wonders what'll happen to all those good programs and if we just knock out what we're doing. And I keep trying to explain to her that we're paying number 1 in the country, or number 1 in the world among high income nations. I think that's that one right there. No, that's the obesity rate. That's the one that shows how much we're spending. Mm-hmm. That's how much we spend on healthcare relative to everyone else. 4 times as much as New Zealand. Almost, what's that? Half again as much as Germany, which is the next most expensive. And we're getting worse healthcare outcomes.
So, Mike, I've got a graph too that's okay, so you're looking at different countries. I want to show you a graph real quick of what the cost of healthcare has been. So look at this. This is our projected spending. I got this off of an article from the Peter G. Peterson Foundation. It's a good article, and we're going to go over a little bit of it. But this particular graph here, now you look at this, look how much it's gone up. And then look at this. This is another one. This is healthcare prices to inflation.
Well, people don't get it, and I've got almost the same chart. That's total medical spending for Medicare. People don't get it. The part of the federal government that we're going to get to vote on, the part of discretionary spending, because out of the big old pie of military government, only a percentage of it is able to be changed, because some of it is just stuck. We're going to pay Social Security. We're going to pay Medicare. Part of the Medicare costs are discretionary, but Medicare costs have grown so much, it's buying for defense as number 3 or 4 for total spending. I think we got Social Security as first. Interest on the debt is now second, and defense and Medicare are fighting for third and fourth. And we can't afford it. We can't sustain it. And like I said, among high-income countries, we're getting worse outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
We don't visit the doctor. We've got best in show infant and maternal deaths for high-income countries. Bernie Sanders said it ages ago. They're saying, how are we going to get all this health care to folks? I used to think TRICARE was the answer. I retired military. I get really good health care, and it doesn't even cost that much. I used to think TRICARE for everyone was the answer. And then I went overseas for a few years as a civilian contractor. And I had to hire a couple employees. It was $240 a year for those employees. And I laughed because every time like TRICARE is taxpayer subsidized, beneficiary, I add a little something to it. Maryland's Medicare or Maryland's version of healthcare works about the same way. It is taxpayer subsidized, only they do a total cost for healthcare model where all of their spending goes through, and your budget is your budget, and they have a single payer, and they go through into the community and they talk about food and managing conditions, and they try to get rid of some of the conditions that lead to it because their budget's here, and if they can prevent if they can prevent disease and they can stop people from using it, they get more profit. So if they have a rush on the clinics, they don't make as much because everybody's using them, if that makes sense. It's a total cost for healthcare model, but it's still single payer. Whenever the government has to do this crap, they choose a single payer model.
So here's reasons why it's so expensive. One of the things they say is administrative waste and the insurance provider pay system. And consolidation of hospitals lead to a lack of competition or even a monopoly, granting providers the opportunity price increase. And of course, technology always costs them more. But let's look at this. Oh my gosh. Rick Scott. That's my opponent. Buddy, you think I wasn't going to talk about healthcare and not bring up this about his company in 2003? The company agreed to pay $1.7 billion in what was then the largest healthcare fraud settlement in U.S. history. Scott's resignation from the company was also lucrative. He walked away with $10 million severance pay, a 5-year consulting contract, and $300 million in stock options. Let's see, what does it say here? According to the Miami Herald, federal investigators found that Scott took part in business practices at Columbia HCA that were later found to be illegal. Specifically, that Scott and other executives offered financial incentives to doctors in exchange for patient referrals in violation of federal law, according to lawsuits in the Justice Department filed in the company in 2021. And by the way, when he was questioned by the FBI and IRS, and this is all 100% your right to plead the fifth, but 75 times, my friend, 75 times.
He sounds like a criminal.
Yeah, and he's who I'm running against. He is who is in the U.S. Senate right now representing Florida. The bar has never been so low, my friends. I may not have earned your trust right now yet. Yeah. I'm trying to do that, but let me tell you what I haven't earned. I haven't earned your distrust.
Well, I say the same thing because Angela also Brooks, I call her also bought. She's the county executive for the county I live in, and she's doing a terrible job. And Larry Hogan, who I call Lockdown Larry, locked down the state and mandated the jab for employees. Most of the Republicans I know don't support him. He's a problematic candidate. And none of the Democrats I know actually trust her. But the system is so entrenched that I still am scared they're going to elect one of these two when there are viable alternatives. And what you got to do is just show them. You're right. Rick Scott is a straight up, I mean, I can't call him a crook. I don't know the man. But he's done some shady stuff. And Angela also Brooks and Larry Hogan, they are better politicians than I'll ever be. But I've forgotten more about federal acquisitions, budgeting, and foreign relations and international relations than they'll ever know. They are better politicians than me, but DC doesn't need more politicians. DC doesn't need Rick Scott. DC needs Feena Bonoan, because Feena be knowing some stuff. And that's, dude, you cannot keep voting these pathological personalities in and then wondering why we can't win as a people. We vote in liars and thieves.
Let's talk about some solutions. Let's talk about some solutions with healthcare from this article that I'm displaying today. Reducing federal healthcare subsidies. We know that's a big deal. For Medicare, options include raising the eligibility age, increasing premiums, increasing taxes on benefits, which would reduce the level of financial assistance provided by higher income beneficiaries. Federal costs could also be limited by imposing caps on spending for Medicaid and subsidies for health insurance. Then also it says co-payments, deductibles to make patients more aware of the cost. So I really like Joe Hanush's idea that he had a few weeks ago, if you remember, on our show when we had Joe Hanush on here. He talked about transparency, price transparency. And I know he said he didn't own that, and and I don't own it either. But good ideas don't require force.
Oh yeah. We need to get rid of government interference and regulation. I asked someone and they said basically a third of healthcare costs can be tied back to overregulation and government interference. And if we could just get rid of that, that's a significant savings on healthcare.
I mean, a third. I mean, that's what was Rick Scott?
That's a lot.
$1.7 billion. B. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Change the way the federal programs pay for health care to encourage providers to deliver better care, eliminate unnecessary services and waste, and operate more efficiently.
Well, that's what Maryland's did. When I was showing you, they do a total cost for, so they send out folks and they don't skimp on the diagnostics and stuff, but they are very much into prevention. Because again, I think we're number one in obesity also, and that connects to other chronic conditions. And I have the chart for that somewhere on here too. Where is it? There you go. Not fat shaming, but the U.S. obesity rate is nearly double the average of wealthy nations. We are, there's a lot of places where we could improve and save money. I was up over 200 pounds. I was up over 300 pounds. I was 317. I'm hovering around 230, 235 now, and I need to keep going down towards 205. But I'm a lot healthier and a lot better able to move, and I'm off of a lot of medications. Some of it could be just disciplining ourselves and fixing some of it, but a lot of it is getting rid of all these government regulations and excessive healthcare burdens and not being smart about it. Because like I said, Maryland uses a single payer system. TRICARE is a single payer system. I don't see what the government has against that if we're going to have it and spend, what did that thing say, 13, 14 grand per capita per year on healthcare? Is it up to 15 yet? Medicare growth is part of the reason why all of the money we borrow, and this is earlier than they projected, all the money we can vote on discretionary spending wise is borrowed. And that's a horrific thought. And Medicare growth is part of the reason for that.
Sorry, I don't mean to be on my phone while I'm doing this, but our guest, Cara Schulz, she didn't get the link. She didn't get the email. So I'm going to cut to commercial. Let's cut to commercial and send her out that link again so we can get her on board. We'll start with a little liquid freedom. Then I'm going to go into we can write the future. No, I feel like I said that. No. Let's get some Mike Scott on here.
Oh my God. This is Mike Scott, Libertarian Party nominee for Senate. We really have to change the question. Right now, folks look at us and they say, you're wasting your vote. You're wasting your vote. Those people literally spend $18 million on a primary to try and get your vote. And then they convince you it doesn't matter. That is the most valuable thing you have. You need to vote, and you need to vote Libertarian to get those people out of office. They are corrupt and they are buying this election. And the same problems happen over and over again. We have to do something different. Swear to God, fellas, ladies, I get it. You love your candidate. No, you don't. But if the system's going to change, we have to change. They've had their chances. Things are getting worse in every major city. Mike Scott, Libertarian Party nominee for Senate for the great state of Maryland. I'm going to try and do this one in under a minute. The question was, what is a military base? A military base is community. A military base is it's a small town. It's got grocery stores, department stores, churches, gas stations. A military base is a lot of things to a lot of people. To the locals, it's jobs, stability, a place to go in case stuff hits the fan. To the military, it could be force projection. To Congress, a military base is about $1 billion a year to the local economy, and it's jobs and taxes. So jobs for their constituents, taxes for their district. That's all it is. And they make their decisions based around money, not what's best. I won't do that. Vote Libertarian.
So I think what I want to play next, just to get a smooth intro from Ms. Cara, is we're going to play one of my favorite commercials from one of my favorite candidates we've had on so far, and I'm playing it now, and then we're coming into Cara.
Montani Semper Liberi. Words that ring true in the hearts of every West Virginian. Mountaineers are always free. Free to live, free to be whoever they want to be. Bureaucrats shouldn't tell us how to live our lives, to tax us and waste our money. This November, West Virginia has a better choice for governor. I am Erica Kalenich, and I'm asking for your vote.
There we go. Folks, we have a very special guest today. We have an incumbent. We have someone who's actually in office right now that is a libertarian and serving our communities in America. And also, because I know you guys care, she's a veteran, another female veteran.
Air Force.
Welcome, Cara Schulz.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on.
Aim high.
Yeah, aim high. I always liked that mantra as well.
Yeah, although I think they've gone through several since then. So
no one comes close. I'm still aiming high.
Yep. So yeah, I'm back in the late 80s, early 90s. Nothing wrong with that.
So were you able to watch a little bit before, like when we were live and we were talking about the healthcare issues? And well, you know what? First of all, let's start out. Let's get you your 2-minute elevator speech. I'm gonna put you on the spotlight. Have it.
Okay. Oh, all right. So 2-minute elevator speech. So I am running for re-election to Burnsville City Council, and something that I have focused very hard on each term that I've been in office is returning power and shifting the power dynamic back to the individual in my city. And so I have been successful in looking for ways that will impact my city and its residents long after I'm gone. which does return power back to them from something seemingly small. Like we got private grants to do food forests in the city, which means you're planting, like berries and herbs and fruiting trees and things like that in public places like the parks and things like that. So number one, it was done through private grants, but number two, it shifts the idea from the parks being owned by the city to the parks being owned by the residents in common. And anyone can go there and just pick and do what they want, and they can grab food, all the way to what I'm now trying to get final approval for is the pilot project that residents will be able to directly say how a portion of their property taxes are used. They get to pick exactly what that is spent on. So hoping to get that finalized in September. It looked like it was all the way through, but I have, since it's an election year, I have people mounting a bullshit attack on it to try to kill my baby. So I must.
How can people think that that's a bad idea to have some sort of say of where your taxes go?
So they don't think it's a bad idea. What it is we have an element on the council who would like me to not be there anymore and is supporting a challenger. And so they would like to kill this project because they know it is popular. And so they don't want that to be seen as a positive and a reason for people to reelect me. So it's purely partisan bullshit.
So it's just politics. That's how many terms have you served?
So I have served 2 terms, and I'm going for a 3rd.
That's good.
And see, that's rare. We normally have folks that haven't run a successful campaign. If you run 2, any pointers for us who are trying to get out there and run a campaign?
Yeah, so you have to get very strategic and real about what you can accomplish with your campaign. And you can win without winning the election, because you can set as your goal something that is not winning the election, but it is a real attainable goal that has benefits for your community, has benefits for the party, has benefits for you. So that's my number one thing, is to take a realistic look at what you can accomplish and then focus everything on accomplishing that goal. Because a campaign that is set up to push a very specific topic and get all candidates, on board supporting that topic. So no matter who gets elected, that issue wins. That is a very different campaign than one that is set up to make county affiliates, right? LP county affiliates, or to identify new donors. Like, each of those campaigns will have a very, 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 very different campaign plan from each other. And all of them will have a very different campaign plan from, I'm going to win this election and I'm going to serve, right? So that's your first tip that I can give. And then you have to be relentless in pursuit of that goal and not get sidetracked by other crap. Not get sidetracked by people saying, why aren't you doing this? Not get literally nothing. You have to go for it. And everything feeds into that. The first time I ran in 2014, I did not get elected, but I came really close to unseating the incumbent, which, incumbents get elected at a 90+% rate, right? So I was like, I smell blood in the water. So I wrote down everything that for my particular campaign, I would have done differently. Things I liked that I did that were successful, things I should have done earlier, things that were time wasters. And so 2 years later, when I was ready to run again, it's 4-year terms, but it's, 2 are up for election, then 2 are up for election. I had my campaign plan ready. And the other tip that I would give people is do not announce your campaign until all of your ducks are in a row. If you do not have your campaign staff ready, if you do not have a little bit of seed money, if you do not have your press releases ready to go, if you don't have, you know, like an intro video or some intro to yourself ready, like if you don't have those things ready, shut your mouth. You are not ready to say you are running for office, right? Shut your mouth. Get your ducks in a row, because when you launch, when it is go time, and you hit it like a freaking hammer, right? And then you keep plowing forward. So I mean, like those are some of the general tips that I would give candidates.
So, Cara, we had a conversation probably, I think maybe almost 4 years ago now. And it was a long conversation, but I felt really special because I know that you were doing a lot of candidate training back then, back before 2020. I know it seems like we didn't do that, but we did. We did do it. And I'd missed out on that.
Like what our chair says. We did.
We did. And I remember you showed me all the resources that the Libertarian Party does have already. It's not like we're reinventing the wheel. We don't come to the Libertarian Party to be on our own and do our own thing and be stranded and without any kind of structure behind us. We come to the Libertarian Party because there is structure already there, or else we'd run as an independent with libertarian principles and policies.
Yeah.
But there is a foundation there. And you were very essential to creating that foundation and making it navigatable to all kinds of candidates. And I remember when I talked to you, I was running in a two-way race in Hawaii.
Yes.
And I was running against a pretty like infamous incumbent. I was running against Tulsi Gabbard's dad. And I think 30% of the vote is pretty good in a place like Hawaii that is solid Democrat.
Oh yeah.
And what you were saying earlier about like take what you learned from the previous campaign and bring it on to the next one. I couldn't really do that because I ran a different type of campaign.
Right.
So in Hawaii, when I was running that first campaign, we did like what you said. We took your advice. We found an issue that we could win on. And we could get people talking about and people coming over to our side just to even winning that issue. And that was gambling in Hawaii. Hawaii is like one of 2 states that won't even allow you to have a bingo game, right? So people got on board. And that legislation session right afterwards, they were talking about putting out casinos and whatnot. Of course, they messed it up. They didn't like that idea because it wasn't theirs. And so like what you're talking about, they found a way to make it such a bad idea. They took a good idea and put bad
poison pill.
Yep. They'll make it overly complex and unappealing. Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
So like the kind of gambling I was talking about was like the old abandoned Kmart building, letting the people that are already running the casinos and neighborhoods go to a place that's like a building in commercial area and out of our neighborhoods. But what the government tried to do after the election, they were like, I got an idea. Let's go put it on Hawaiian homestead land. So, the land that, it's got a 50-year wait list for Native Hawaiians to get on. And of course, that died. It completely died. But, so this is a election year for you. What are the issues that are first of all, where are you at? You haven't even told people.
Right. Okay. So I'm in Burnsville, Minnesota. So Burnsville has about 68,000 people in it. We are in the Twin Cities metro area. In fact, we're the gateway to the Twin Cities metro area. Our seats are at large. So when you are running, it's the whole dang city. You are knocking 22,000 doors. It's larger than if I would run for either a state rep or state Senate seat.
Wow.
So, And we are a council with 4 council members, 1 mayor, and it's a weak mayor system. So she is just like the other city council members. There's not really anything extra that she can do, or, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm always, unfortunately, in the presidential years. So I get all of the fun of door knocking in a presidential year. Yeah, it's good times. It's good times for that. You know, you'll get asked questions like, what's your stance on abortion? And I'm like, well, I promise we won't, you know, do any in city council.
Right?
I mean, or like, you know, I'm like, well, I don't even have a uterus anymore. So like, I'm out of business for abortion. So, you know, I don't know what you want from me.
They ask you questions that you have no earthly way of impacting, even if you get in office and they want to not vote for you because I love that. It's hilarious.
Yeah. And, you know, or they're trying to figure out, you know, they're like, are you a Republican or a Democrat? And I'm like, hell no. And it's a nonpartisan race. And I'm like, no. Although it's 68,000 people, but pretty much everyone here knows I'm a libertarian, because about 1/3 of the articles that come out, and Libertarian Council member Cara Schulz, and they never put party affiliation for any of the other council members, even though they do have a party affiliation. So like everyone knows, but officially it's nonpartisan. And so when you're at the door, people will be like, oh, well then, who are you voting for? You know? And I was like, well, I'm voting for Gary Johnson, or I'm voting for George Jorgensen. And then they're just like, oh God, whatever. I'm just trying to find out if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I'm like, and I'm telling you, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I love those
And
arguments.
they shouldn't be either, darn it. They should not be Republicans or Democrats either.
Yes. You know, and if I get that, well, you're going to throw your vote away. And I'm like, it's mine to throw. Just like it's yours to do what you wish with. And I would love for you to vote for me.
Wow.
So,
I get yelled at because I compare Obama and Trump all the time. And I say, by all the measures that I count, they did about the same job. They borrowed trillions. They bombed Yemen, supported Israel, didn't close Gitmo. You know, just Obama actually did a little better because Trump banned bump stocks and Obama let you carry weapons in national parks, I believe. So, which one's the liberty president? Neither.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, you know, the challenge is when you're a local candidate is to keep the conversation onto, you know, especially when you're at the door or that type of thing, keeping the conversation onto the issues that local government deals with, which is drink, drive, flush, right? Like local government is all about like wanting you to be able to drive home safely from your job and go home and poop. Like that's our job in a nutshell, right? Drink, drive, flush. And so that's a little more challenging because although local government affects people's daily lives more than any other level of government, people have a hard time thinking about it in that discourse because it's not something people learn about, you know, when you're in school, in the media, all that kind of stuff. No one is really talking about local issues most of the time.
So you think more people should be running, more libertarian-minded individuals should be running for local government so we can impact. What kind of things could they impact?
All kinds of things. I mean, local governments can impact things all the way from can you leave your garbage can out? Or do you have to build a fence around it? Like, I mean, like every little thing in your life, local government is into. One of the main taxing authorities you're going to come up with against is going to be your local government, whether that's property tax or sales tax or you know, like a transit tax or, you know, I mean, there's like a long list of them, right? Mm-hmm. And you can more easily affect those tax rates than you can at the state and federal level, right? You know, it's what your city's going to look like. Does your city have a ban on the color of paint you can paint your house? Do they charge you a fee for being able to have a water meter in your house or apartment, which you are legally mandated to have? The list just goes on and on and on. Those are all areas that libertarians can make a huge impact in. And if you do make a huge impact in that, they're more willing to vote for libertarians up ticket. Like it's no longer an unknown. When I was first elected, there was a lot of pearl clutching. Oh my God, is the libertarian elected? Like, what the hell is going to happen to our city now? Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. It was like people are getting the vapors, right? She's going to come in and demand we dissolve the government. Not on day one. I mean, let's be real. Not on day one. But there was a lot of consternation. Also, I was not part of like the local political class. Like the Chamber of Commerce hated me. They like the guy that was in charge of it wrote this big long thing about how I was an idiot. It was just so people really wondered, like, what does it look like when a libertarian serves? And I've tried very hard, and I've been earning trust, amongst city staff and my fellow council members and my residents. And that has been gratifying to see. And then to do a test in the last election, we had a libertarian run. I told him, do not do anything. Literally do not do anything. I don't want to see a yard sign. I don't want to see a social media post. I don't want to see anything at all from you. Just put your name on the ballot. And then in the questionnaire that they put in the paper, say that you're a libertarian. That is it. Because what I wanted to test was, does my city, now that I've been serving in it, has the libertarian base grown? Because we know it's usually like 1% to 3%, right? Like that's, depending, right? So just on libertarian, well, okay, he got 9%. Yes, the base has grown. Okay, has it grown huge? No,
Yeah.
but like he didn't even campaign.
No. That's actually huge, from 1% to 3%, maybe 5% at most, to almost 10%. And with a paper-only campaign, that's actually significant. Like seriously significant.
Yeah,
He could have got 30, 35 if he would have put some oomph into it, possibly.
Yeah, he could have made a serious run. Like he really could have, So that gets you to think, okay, well, we do need more libertarians running at the local level, but we also need to help them when they're in office. So many of our libertarians get elected and then they're not sure what to do. One of the things that we were preparing to do at national, and unfortunately that was kind of killed along with most of our candidate support. So that all got shelved, and then this project then never got launched. It was to create a support system with a conference and documents and that type of thing, what to do once you get elected. And it would have things like, here's a copy of an ordinance that you could push through or modify or that type of thing. Here's things that local electeds have done to increase liberty in their area. And this is the game plan for how they accomplished it. So not just how to do it. And then to do a yearly conference that would be just for elected libertarians, where we could find out about what evil shit's rolling down the pipe at us, right? Because both the R's and the D's come up with these initiatives that they roll out at the local level and push for, how to combat that. And then what is our policy initiatives that we will spend time this next year or two pushing forward at the local level. And that's something we desperately need, because we have a lot of well-meaning people who have gotten elected, and then, they don't know what to do. And there's not a good support system for them. those of us that are elected try to help them, but it's kind of like a one by one kind of thing. So yeah.
I'm kind of glad we don't have that. Let me just explain why. I like that. I would like for it to be an option, but I wouldn't want it to be mandatory.
There's no mandatory in the LP.
I know, right? There's no mandatory in the LP. So, this is our party that a lot of people come to us, and they don't want, that influence of like PAC money. They don't want the influence of these political machines behind them, with people, special interests and lobbyists coming behind. Because if you don't have, your own moral background, you're going to fall for anything. Now, I like the idea of having it optional. I just don't like it mandatory. And I do agree. Yeah.
Don't get on the plane. Don't get on the plane. Don't come to the conference. That's literally it.
Yeah.
Right?
So we do. You're right.
I will push back though on the idea of not wanting PACs and all that kind of stuff. I am endorsed by a couple PACs, and it is a huge help. And PACs can come with assistance, like they could door knock for you. They can come with money. They can just come with their endorsement, and they can come with messaging, like messaging out to their base, vote for this person. So if you would not want a PAC, you're saying the same as, I do not want a voluntary group of people who got together and said I was a good candidate to support me. Nope, don't do that. So I'm gonna push back on that idea.
Right.
There's dirty money, right?
Dirty money. That's probably a better word. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not for unethical, dirty money. We're not for dark money. We're not for any of that kind of stuff. But I would encourage libertarians. There are more PACs now that are willing to endorse libertarians. And that's something we used to never see. Never see. There are unions now that are willing to start endorsing libertarians.
Now, they come to us or we go to them?
Most of the time you need to go to a PAC, and you need to do it intelligently. Every once in a while you'll have one contact you that will say, we're looking at the candidates in this race and you actually look like a good candidate. I would encourage you to apply for our endorsement, which I did get approached by a PAC. They all have a questionnaire. I filled out the questionnaire. I fit their criteria on almost everything, except one of their questions was, would I support banning assault weapons? Hell no, I don't support that. And so I put that in there. And when I turned it in, I said to them, I fit all your criteria and all of this. I think this one question is going to be a deal breaker for you. And that's okay. And I appreciate the opportunity of you coming forward and asking me to apply. So you're not selling out. You're not doing that kind of thing. If it fits, it fits. And, they responded back and they're like, yep. And let me tell you, like, the assault thing had nothing to do with anything else that this PAC does. And they're like, yep, that totally kicked you out. But we really like you and absolutely everything else. So we're not endorsing anyone in your race.
That's good too.
Okay, I'll take it. Right? So, move forward in everything as ethically, as you should, right? And then let those chips fall where they may. You'll get a lot more respect.
So I got a quick question for you, because you sound really practical and pragmatic, and your advice for campaigning was think strategically and plan ahead, get a lay of the battle space, make sure your ducks are in a row, i.e. make sure you're logistically sound, and then focus relentless attention. That sounds kind of like the OODA loop back in the day. So you're practical, you're pragmatic, and obviously intelligent. Your council person position is awesome. Are you ever going to try to go higher to try and get, so you're happy where you are and this is where you make the most impact, and Absolutely. You don't want the noise?
Yeah. I mean, if I were to get elected to something like state house or state senate, which the hilarious thing is both major parties have approached me repeatedly to run for those positions. And I'm like, no and no. For two reasons, honeys. But if you go to like the state house or state senate, you know, I would be a caucus of one in my state, and it would mean that I would not be eligible for any committees whatsoever. Like I would literally have no voice or impact other than sitting there and saying yes or no on a vote. I couldn't review things ahead of time. I couldn't speak in these committees. Like I would be shut out of everything. So there's in my state, how it is structured, there's really not a reason. Like there's not a benefit, right? Because you look for a benefit. And even if it was like to take the bully pulpit, which you could use it for that, right? You could use it for a bully pulpit. That would be limited too, because the reporters all know you can't even be on a committee. Like you can literally do nothing. I can get quite a bit done in Burnsville. And then here's the other thing. And now I'm going to make you cry. Every city of any size hires a lobbyist, and they lobby at the state house and the state senate. And we get to set our agenda on the city council. And also as part of city council, I'm part of the League of Cities, which there's National League of Cities and the State League of Cities. And they hire lobbyists and they have an agenda, and I can affect that, and I can affect that in my city. And so I can actually have more input in the state legislature as a city council member than I would ever have being elected to state house or state senate.
That is terrible.
I know, it's part of the dark arts of politics. So I tell people, if you are not willing to be sorted into House Slytherin, don't run for office.
My family all tested into Slytherin, all of us.
Well, we're already veterans, so we're already in there. We've got some comments from the audience I want to share with you. One of them is a question we got from Twitch, from the Liberty Twitcher. Are there libertarians saying PACs shouldn't be allowed? I think libertarians saying everything.
Yeah, there's libertarians saying everything. And, you know, and like some libertarians even won't take donations, like won't even take personal donations when they run. I look at that and I say, okay, that must be a person that is just running to put their name on the ballot for choice. And if you are running just to put your name on the ballot to give voters a choice, I applaud people not taking any money, because those are donations that could go to a candidate that's actually running to win and needs money to do the campaign. But PACs can be evil. PACs can expect to influence your vote. Anytime people know PACs and donations are not going to affect, or if I'm friends with you or know you, or none of that is going to affect how I vote on city council or how I interact with residents. And as long as you're very clear with that, PACs are not so damn evil. The thing is, people get addicted to getting elected or getting reelected. And so they start whoring themselves out for money. That's a personal ethical problem. That's not a PAC problem. But I will tell you, it is hard to resist when you're looking at, I got to run my reelection campaign. I know I have to raise X amount of dollars to be successful. And now I'm having people tell me I won't donate unless you do X. And my view is you just have to tell them, I don't need your money. Like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Being able to tell somebody you don't need their money is awesome. I'm going to give you a little pushback, by the way, just because I'm not collecting donations and I still plan on winning. But I live in the People's Republic of Maryland, the Democratic People's Republic of Maryland. Yep. I can't spend 20 millions on an election, and that's what they're going to do.
Yes.
And if I went and I hoard myself out for money, like you said, I could possibly get $2.5 million, and that would be doing nothing but fundraising. Yes. That can't be my path to victory. My path to victory has to be an educated electorate pulling me in.
Yes.
Hadn't quite worked out yet, but I still have faith the people won't. Half of them dislike both candidates, so maybe those two halves will come together and do something intelligent instead of voting out of fear. So it's
Well,
not a paper-only campaign, because I've been doing a lot of politicking, but I'm not doing it via money. So,
Yep.
but I understand your point too. Money makes this world go round, and until I can do campaign finance reform as the junior senator from Maryland,
Yep.
it's a reality.
No, and you have a specific set of goals that you are going after on your campaign, and you have your campaign set up to achieve those specific goals. So no, there is zero problem with that.
Yeah. So, and I don't mind people taking money from PACs as long as you said, if they're dirty, you cut the strings, because I don't like Geppetto. There are no strings on me.
Yep.
I'm taking money. And in fact, I need to take this moment to say I need money. I need donations, because we about run out. We did FEC filing this week, and we have raised over $16,000, and we have spent that. We spent
That's awesome.
it too.
That is awesome.
It doesn't do any good, I think.
Yeah,
I'm not asking for money. You guys just get a sign, print one out. I'll send you the GIF for it, or the JPEG. Put it in your lawn, or I'll send you a sticker, and you can cover up their signs. Don't do that. That's probably bad.
Do not
do that. It's probably bad.
That is in most places.
I will laugh my butt off, though.
So we're coming up on the Chase Oliver moment. So if you can, go donate at FeenaForUs.com/donate. It's going to be scrolling across the bottom. But I'll just get to that later. We need to show Cara's website. Cara's website coming up right here. Cara Schulz for City Council. Go check that out. She's got some issues on there, shifting the power back to the residents. And she also has endorsements. And this is that PAC endorsement she was talking about. Yeah. So
I have another one that I'll be able to announce.
I love your energy. I love your energy. I love your platform. And I like how knowledgeable, and I mean, you are just awesome. So I'm happy you're running again, and I know you're going to win. So y'all vote Cara Schulz if you're in the Twin Cities area.
All right, we're running over. We'll give you 2 minutes before you go. If you want to say anything, if you don't want to say anything, we can go. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I really do encourage people to run for election. And there is an advantage that libertarians have right now, and it is a very narrow window of disadvantage that we have. There is a organization called goodparty.org. And what they have is a suite of AI services specifically to help you run your campaign. And the AI services are actually very decent. You can fill out your information in like 3 to 5 minutes, and it will come up with a campaign plan for you. It will have L2 data for you. It will have like pretty much everything you can think of to run your campaign. And I will tell you that candidates who are having difficulty finding that starting place and coming up with their initiatives and how to word it and all that kind of stuff and make a website, this is a godsend. And if you have not, as a candidate, invested your time into data and AI that can be a force multiplier for you, do that immediately. Start doing that now, because we're going to have this narrow window where we can have an advantage. That is an advantage that the R's and the D's don't really have right now. And goodparty.org will not work with R's and D's. They will only work with emerging parties.
Yeah, I got some information with goodparty.org, but Cara, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for being a wealth of information, being a good beacon of liberty for our party, and for everything that you do and everything that you have done for our country and you continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me on. Have a great day.
That was awesome.
We're going to go to commercial, and then we're going to come back and we'll have a Chase Oliver update.
I'm honored to be the first Libertarian candidate for president to ever campaign in all 50 states, and I did it before our nomination. This kind of energy sends a clear signal to the old two-party system that we are a 50-state party and this is a 50-state campaign. Voters deserve a president who doesn't merely focus on a handful of swing states, and the Libertarians will be on the ballot for those voters who want to reject the two-party mediocrity and embrace building a foundation that will last for years to come.
All right. Welcome, Amber. Hello
Hey,
again. I feel like I haven't seen you in forever.
it's only been a week.
week. It's been like 2 weeks.
Well, it has been 2 weeks because Chase was me. Well, Chase was himself, but he did the whole thing last week.
Yeah.
So it's probably nice.
So what do we got going on this week for the Oliver team?
Well, I believe that Chase is going to go to Michigan and Mike is going to go to Pennsylvania. We're still working on some of the details, but that's the general plan. Last week, majority of our travel was Freedom Fest. So we did a lot of media there. So a lot of stuff will be coming out. I'll have some clips next week. Oh, good. You got the pictures to work.
Not all of them, just two.
Aww.
Just two pictures. So we got this picture of Chase on the free and equal debate. And then we have, of course, him winning the free and equal debate.
Yep. Yeah,
So-
sorry guys about the pictures. I've downloaded and converted them 17 times and they still don't want to work with StreamYard, so
You got to make him a JPEG.
I did, and they still wouldn't show up.
What you sent me, well, what was on the drive weren't JPEGs.
Yeah, I just re-uploaded them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just showing blank. But anyway, let me see. But yeah, we did let me go over media from Mike. Mike did interviews with John Stagliano, Arcadia Economics, Leanne Burgess, Pasta to Go, The Kate Daly Show, and then TNT Radio and Good Morning Liberty. So then Chase last week did WGAN, A Healthy Conversation, and then he came on with you guys, and then he did KOA, which was the largest Colorado radio station. And then we did Fox, Good Morning Liberty, John Sagliano with Reason. We did an interview with Epic Times or Epoch Times.
We were his favorite interview, though, right? When he came on, he said,
definitely the longest. Let's see. And then, of course, we did the free and equal debate. And yeah, that's pretty much what we did. I got a new cat. She's being real annoying today.
So how were the free and equal debates? Were you there for it, or did you just hear about it?
No, I stayed home. Kelsey went. She's our communications director, but they went really well. I think Chase was the favorite because he stuck to his time limits. So.
Oh yeah, I thought Chase's performance on the free and equal debate was great. I thought each of the candidates were very like there were things that everyone kind of rallied behind, like ending the Fed, anti-war, but then there were nuances to that, right?
Yep.
So, like for instance, the Constitutional Party's candidate, he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna use whatever things, whatever powers that I have in time of crisis, and for the country, because it's the commander in chief, that's their duty." And I get that, understand. But also you had Jill Stein, who was saying that never, we ain't gonna do that. Where I'm never gonna be that kind of president, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Chase Oliver kind of split in the middle, and that's how I kind of see Chase being a more palatable alternative, not just to the Republicans and Democrats, but also to the other third parties as well. Something that's more, I know we're a radical party, but maybe our America that we live in now is a little bit more radicalized. Maybe we're ready for some of these radical ideas of freedom. And I thought it was a great debate. And I feel like if what happened on Saturday night had not happened, Monday morning, we would have been talking about the free and equal debate everywhere.
Yeah,
everyone would be talking about it. And that's how I'm going to put it. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
I agree.
Well, we've got Ted Brown backstage still, but thank you, Amber, for coming on. We'll see you next week. Next week,
Nice to see you again.
Hopefully, my pictures work next week.
Another idea you can always do is do a screenshot of the picture. Do a screenshot, then upload the screenshot. That's an
I'll
instant.
try that.
Mm-hmm. But before we do that, we're gonna get to Ted Brown. We're gonna run another commercial, and we'll see you next week. See you next Tuesday, Amber.
See y'all.
See you
Thank
next
you.
Tuesday.
What you do with your body should be none of the government's business. Your body is your body. Your property is your property. Your life is your life. Vote Libertarian. My friend Chase Oliver is standing for president, and I'm out here running for vice president on the Libertarian Party ticket because we believe that your decisions should be your own. Go for a run if you want. Or not.
All right, folks, we're back, and we've got Ted Brown from the Lone Star State of Texas. Welcome, Ted Brown. Hello.
U.S. Senate nominee.
Hi there, Feena and Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on.
So you're running for U.S. Senate. I'm gonna put the spotlight on you, and I want you to give your nice little 2-minute elevator speech to the camera. Go for it.
Well, I'm running in Texas for U.S. Senate, which is the second biggest race in the country after president, where we have a Libertarian on the ballot. And I think, Feena, your race is third in that regard. I'm running against Ted Cruz, the Republican incumbent, and Colin Allred, the Democratic candidate. And I'm the only third party on the ballot. So there's just three of us running. And I'm using the slogan, "The Better Ted." Like I'm comparing myself on the name from how I contrast to Ted Cruz, like Bill of Rights Ted versus loss of rights Ted, that sort of thing. And Ted Cruz is very personally unpopular. People just don't like the guy. But there's unfortunately all the tribal voting and all. So I'm really the only candidate that believes, as libertarians do, in personal freedom, economic freedom, and a non-interventionist foreign policy. And I'm trying to get my views out there as much as possible. And certainly, want to continue doing so for the rest of the campaign. It's hard, as you know, to run a campaign like this. I am listed in some polls, but not in others. I'm polling at 3 or 4%, depending on some of the polls that have come out, so which is great. But if the race tightens, then more of the tribal voters might go back to their saying, "Oh, we better vote for Democrats and Republicans," and I hope they don't do that. And I also certainly want other alternative presidential voters to support this campaign, like people who are voting for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., because he's going to be on the ballot in Texas, as far as I know. I'm doing much better on the polling with independent voters, of course, because they already are kind of skeptical of the two-party system. So there's a lot of issues that I'm concerned about. Obviously. The economic issues, like the national debt is unsustainable, and the only way to really deal with that is to cut spending severely. And of course, nobody wants to do that in the other parties. In Texas, it seems like immigrants are very unpopular. I'm pointing out how they are very important to this country and are a good thing for this country. And obviously, the war on drugs is still an issue. There's issues involving education, healthcare. Foreign policy. There's just so many things to talk about. So, feel free to ask me about any issues that you'd like to talk about.
Oh, well, I'm going to.
I joined the party 2012, 2016, and I thought I've been around a long time. I think Ted Brown joined the party in 79, 80, that time frame. So you're an old school libertarian. How has the party changed? That's kind of, I just want a little history. How has it changed in those years? Or has it?
Oh, well, that's actually a good point. I joined up in 1979 when I was an 18-year-old freshman in college, and I've been active my whole adult life. I'm going to be 64 in a couple of days, and I've been doing this my whole adult life. I've totally committed to liberty, to the cause. I mean, over the years, I've had various levels of activism over the years. Sometimes more and sometimes less. I've run for office quite a few times because I think it's very important for there to be libertarians on the ballot for as many offices as possible, because most people in this country don't really care about politics or follow politics except during election season. So if we're not there on the ballot, people aren't going to even know that we exist. So That's why it's important for us to be out there. And, I'm not going to ask anybody. I've often recruited candidates, and I'm certainly not going to ask anybody to do what I'm not going to do myself. So I've run a number of times, starting in 1980 when I was just 20 years old, and I ran for the California State Assembly. I started right out of the gate running for office way back then. But the way the party has changed, it's like now when I joined up, it's really funny. It's like it seemed like it was a bunch of engineers that were followers of Ayn Rand were the main party members at that time. So they usually often came in from the right, from the Republican Party. And they said that libertarians were like conservatives that want to smoke pot. That was how and some people still refer to the party that way. Now, me, on the other hand, I'm a leftist peacenik that believes in the free market. So I came in from the other direction. I considered myself a liberal Democrat before I was a libertarian. So, I'm more think of things from that aspect. So now, where it seems to be there's an element who has joined the party over the last few years that are more social conservatives and seem to be more conservative than libertarian in a lot of areas. That's kind of disturbing to me because, I don't believe that at all. I believe that civil liberties, personal freedoms, and all those are as or more important than the economic issues. And so, because if libertarians aren't going to stand up for people who are being abused by government, even a minority of one who's just being put to by government bureaucrats, then what are we good for? We've got to stand up for individuals that are being attacked by the state. And that's the one thing that really drives me is, the thing really, government, obviously they tax me a lot and everything, and I hate paying that, but what really, whatever, I can pay it. But I really hate it when someone is not allowed to work their chosen occupation, if they can't open a store, if, their families are being abused by government bureaucrats, anything like that is what really gets my dander up. So I like to focus on those kind of issues as well for the campaign and for my general activism.
Yeah, I agree. When you said allowing people to work that want to work, the government getting involved and putting barriers, and I was thinking about, and it's definitely been out since COVID, right? But I remember them trying to put licensing on people to braid hair.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an obvious free market solution. You either can braid hair or you cannot. And
Yes.
if you're not going to go try to get paid to braid hair if you can't braid hair nice, because they are not going to pay you. They will not pay you to braid hair.
That's exactly it. And actually, if you look, my favorite libertarian group is the Institute for Justice, which is a public interest law firm founded by libertarians in the early 90s. And they've gotten bigger and bigger over the years. And they're fighting for individuals who fighting those kind of regulations and those kind of licensing laws and all that stop people from doing that. In fact, they did start out with the African hair braiders, I think, were their earliest successful cases, and now they're helping other people who are fighting zoning laws, who are fighting occupational licensing, because more occupations than ever around the country are requiring licensing, and it should be just the opposite. That people should be able to engage in the occupation they want. And IJ also deals with free speech issues and with property rights issues, all kinds of things. And I urge people to go to ij.org and support them. I was a charter supporter back in the 90s, and they really get things done in the legal side. It's hard for us to get things accomplished on the political side quite a bit, because of all kinds of pushback, but the courts sometimes go along. And so it's important to have a three-pronged attack, having lawsuits against government activities that sometimes win, and then candidates running to, of course, try to win office, but also to try to keep the other guys, let people know there are alternative points of view. If we'd never been there, things would be way a lot worse than they are today, if there had never been libertarians to provide this alternative point of view.
Yeah. So, since you're here, and I've kind of been talking about it to others, would you be in favor of a filibuster? How do you feel about that? Because that's a tool in the Senate.
Oh yeah, I mean they need like 60 senators now to pass much of anything, because any one senator can start objecting to consideration of a bill. In fact, senators seem to have a lot of power individually. If you remember Senator Tuberville putting a hold on a bunch of military promotions last year, I couldn't understand, A, why the Senate even approves military promotions in the first place, but the fact that they put up with one senator holding it all up instead of saying, forget it. They all want to have that power. So as an individual senator, maybe I can hold up a lot of votes and a lot of items individually. Of course, if a libertarian was there doing that, they would abolish that rule immediately.
We would make them cry. If the three of us got in the Senate, we would hold position, and things would change in America.
I think we could flip Justin too. Justin Amash is running as a Republican, but he was a libertarian before. I think we could flip and radicalize him. And there's a couple of liberal ones I think we could get too. I think we can become a real caucus. We need a gold rush.
I think we could. And on some of these issues, Rand Paul would agree with us also. He's been there for a while and can maybe he'd be the first person I'd probably go to get some advice about how to do some of these things, because he actually does filibusters over the years and tries to put a monkey wrench into the system regarding like privacy issues and some issues that the other senators don't want to hear about. So I want to be part of that. But I also am willing to work with any senators that want to promote freedom and oppose any senators that want to limit freedom. So I'm certainly inclined to work with across the board with anybody that wants, like Frederick Douglass said, I'll work with anyone that wants to do right and against anyone that wants to do wrong. That would be the focus, because I mean the people of Texas would certainly expect me to not just be a negative person here. If I'm in Washington, they'd want me to actually try to get something done, and I want to get something done also. I want to push towards freedom. I mean, obviously we're not going to implement the whole Libertarian Party platform, but I would find it a success if government didn't grow or got less in the 6 years I would be in the Senate, or when you both would also be in the Senate.
So a lot of times libertarians, we talk about like more the Republican side of the senators or the Congress of who we find alliances with. There's one that I think is going to surprise a lot of people that I've found myself aligned with on certain issues, particularly in war, particularly in how we spend our tax dollars. And that's Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was one of the first senators to come out and say, no, we're not sending our money over to fight foreign wars this year. And I was like, good. Thank you. Thank you for putting America first. And that is, one of the things about the Libertarian Party and having a Libertarian in the U.S. Senate is, yes, we can reach across both sides to put America first. And so I've got a question for you. One more question. Would you be interested in a joint fundraising initiative of a telethon epic proportions of a filibuster? I really want to get as many Libertarian U.S. Senate candidates, because that's where the filibuster happens, together to show that we can use the same tools and weapons and wield them just as good, if not better, than what we have right now. And
sure. I mean, it'd be hard for us to filibuster unless we got in there, of course, but we can show what we would do, like what bills, maybe pick a bill or two that we'd be filibustering if we were there, that they aren't filibustering and just running through, just motorboating right through the process there at the Capitol.
So the longest filibuster on record was, I think, over 24 hours is Strom Thunberg. And it was over something that was just kind of cringe. He was filibustering to keep segregation in. Yeah,
exactly. Those Southern senators back in the 50s were real good at doing that. They wanted to fight the inevitable, and they seemed like, pretty much a-holes for doing that. And that's what history has recorded.
So, and you mentioned earlier, Rand Paul, he is the most recent senator to use it. And his lengthy one was, I think, 8 hours long, something like that. And he had to stop because nature called. Of course, I mean, there is limitations, human limitations. But when you think about the grand scope of filibustering isn't just about getting up on the pulpit and taking up the time. It's delay tactics. And If anyone has ever been to a national convention, a libertarian national convention, oh, bro, we got it. We got that in spades.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of experience in delaying business. Of course, I always try to vote at our conventions to speed business along, but that's because we're a private organization actually trying to accomplish anything. If we're in at the Capitol where we want to stop them from accomplishing much of anything, then of course those techniques are very worth using. So
Oh,
I can see what you mean about that. We can even get some training for some of the best people who delay tactics at our conventions and have them give us advice. We might be irritated with them normally, but hey, sometimes you have a need for that.
Oh, it's hilarious. I'm to the point where the first day of convention, and I think you're an old salt, the first day of convention is almost a wash, and it's because of filibustering techniques. And the reason why, and this is something I've tried to tell folks that are kind of newer to the party, newer to going to the conventions even, this is because they're waiting for their friends to get off the plane and get to the hotel so they can get on the floor too. They're waiting to assemble, it's the delay tactics. And the issue is, there's people like me, they're like, well, the first day is all going to be wasted, so might as well wait till the second day to come. So
well, the party is run by those that show up, so it's important to be there from the opening gavel, just in case some sort of mischief is planned. And I think at our most recent at our recent convention, after some of the early votes on credentialing, it became apparent to some people that they weren't going to win what they wanted to win until they bust in a whole bunch of other people. So the second day, there was a lot more people there for some strange reason. So
yeah, they had to call a friend. Well, I think there's people that probably don't even book a hotel room on the first day. They're like, I'm gonna save some money, you know. But let's talk more about your race. What is some more what's the pressing issue, your top three, if you will? If you don't have top three, I get it. I've got one: more freedom, less government.
Right.
So.
Well, of course, I believe in that. In fact, that's what's even on my yard signs that I just got. It says the better TED, and then more freedom, less government at the bottom. But no, like I mentioned, I'm up on Ballotpedia now, and they asked me for my three top issues, and I was talking about the national debt and how it's unsustainable, and that we have to cut spending. You can't just cut. I love cutting taxes, but you can't do it. You can't reduce the deficit without cutting government spending. And as a libertarian, I want to massively cut government across the board. And they never cut government. Even Republicans don't cut government anymore. Not that they really ever did. It was always cutting the rate of increase. They have weird bookkeeping in Washington. They never actually have
cutting
lower.
Cutting the rate of increase.
They cut the rate of increase instead of actually cutting spending. Like if it was 3%, they cut it down to 1.4% and say we just shrank government or shrank spending, blah, blah, blah %. And
all they're doing is saying we're slower at it.
Then the Democrats would say these vast cuts are going to kill people. That's the kind of thing you get from the Democratic side. It wasn't even a cut. It's gone up from the year before, and they say these cuts are going to kill people because they're going to be out in the street and starve or die or whatever the case may be. So we have to cut spending, and in every department, you can't leave anybody off. And even when Republicans even talked about cutting spending in the past, they always said, "Oh, except for the military." And of course, that's one of the biggest departments in government that if you can't, and they can't even show where they spend their money. It's missing. They've failed every audit they've ever had. Where's this money? There's suitcases full of cash that have just disappeared someplace.
You know what was the big eye opener for America? I feel like on that issue right there was right before COVID, and I find the timing of this so convenient. Right before COVID, there was a big push for Storm Area 51. And what that to me as a libertarian that was a whole bunch of Americans realizing that the government has been taking our tax dollars and lying to us. They've been using it for things that they say that don't exist, but it clearly does. And it was a bunch of people getting together, and they're saying, we want to see where our money's been spent.
Yep, they do. And
I've seen it. It's not that impressive.
Oh, you mean Area 51? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not supposed to tell people that.
Well, see, that's the thing. If whatever you saw is probably, there's a lot more to it than that, or they wouldn't let you see whatever the rest of it is, if there was anything else out there. But it's weird that, like, Hillary Clinton, of all people, seems to have some sort of fascination with UFOs, as we learned a few years ago. So maybe there is something going on around there that stimulated her interest.
There's more going on than you can shake a stick at. And I didn't even know anything about UFOs, and the fact that it's come out now that a bunch are real. And I used to love UFOs, and I haven't jumped in and like went down that rabbit hole. Still a lot of stuff and disinformation out there. You can't really know what's real. So, watch Rogan.
You can't. In my view, though, I hope that humans never have any contact with anyone from another planet, because humans are so xenophobic. They probably do something that would cause the aliens to just blow up the earth or something, because of the behavior of, like, considering anybody hostile that is different than they are. It's just like human nature. So we're just too dangerous of a race, or of a species, I should say, to ever come in contact with anyone from another planet. It just would be too dangerous for the world, as far as I'm concerned. We're better off never seeing them, and they're better off never coming in contact with us either. And if they've been flying around, they probably realize that too, is why they're not really making contact.
And all the space junk. Who was that? I think it was Barack Obama, maybe, that said, why would an alien even want to come visit us? Our whole front and backyard is full of trash. And talking about our atmosphere.
Oh, you mean the satellites and all that?
The satellites, the space junk, and everything.
Orbital debris. There's a bunch of orbital debris and they track it. I forget where it is. It might even be Cheyenne Mountain, but they track orbital debris down to like a tiny little amount, because those little things are still going orbital speeds and can cut through an aircraft or a spacecraft.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, again, I'd rather stay down to earth on my my platform for the Senate, because obviously nothing's going to happen with outer space. Even though there's like some Space Force, we have this new military department of Space Force, but obviously that's not to protect us from people from other planets. It's to protect us allegedly from people sending weapons through space, from other countries or something. But anyway, my second big plank is about immigration, because I really get frustrated when, especially here in Texas, Ted Cruz and even the Democrat Allred is not all that pro-immigrant. They're saying, "Oh, this is a crisis," and Cruz publicizes every crime committed by someone that came to this country recently, however they got here. And my view is that people should not have to be swimming across rivers and climbing over fences and getting caught in barbed wire. I mean, obviously those towns in South Texas had every reason to think that there's a crisis, because they're just being inundated by folks like that. Not everybody should come in that way. They should have, there's a road, paved road with a building with U.S. government employees in it at the border, and anybody who wants to come should be coming officially up to a place like that where there's an actual border crossing, or any port of entry, like at an airport or a port or anything like that, anywhere in the country. They shouldn't have to come into two towns in Texas to come here, and it should be a lot easier to come here legally. And people don't realize, I believe in legal immigration, but not illegal immigration. Well, it's for a lot of people. In fact, a majority of anybody that wants to come here, there's no possible legal way of coming here. That's why they're saying that they're refugees, and they're really not, most of them. Yeah.
Ted, I got to disagree with you here.
Okay.
There is. And it came to me this weekend. I was talking to my husband, and we were talking about the immigrations and everything. And I was like, why don't they just, people, instead of being, paying the human traffickers, a lot of immigrants, they actually pay their traffickers. They have to pay thousands of dollars to these people that are going to put them in the back of an 18-wheeler with no AC, no water, no food, no provision, and cart them across the country. Why don't they just get on an airplane and go to Disney World? I just can't imagine the U.S. government getting in the way of anybody's journey to the Magic Kingdom.
Well, there are tourists. People do come as tourists. People do, and there are people in all these countries that are coming here that are issued passports by their own countries, and they probably could come here in that fashion, then overstay their tourist visa or whatever. But a lot of people are just really like peasants from, illiterate peasants who don't even know how to do anything like that, or don't have a passport or whatever. But what I was going to say is that even people who are trying to do it the right way, like applying for a green card, going to our embassies in other countries and all that, the applications are just being like ignored. It's like there's a humongous backlog. It's like the immigration department that has no intention of ever even looking at these applications. And when people start getting frustrated, those are the ones that are trying to act as refugees and come across the border in Texas and California and places like that. So my view is that we need an Ellis Island style immigration, the same as what Chase Oliver was talking about in the presidential race. And that we put out the word that people are welcome. Just about anybody is welcome to come here legally, but they have to go to a port of entry and sign in, make sure that they're not criminals, make sure they don't have contagious diseases and all that, and welcome them in and say they can work from day one. And anybody that then doesn't do it after the odds are they get in no matter what, and they still didn't do that, then those would be the people that might be up to no good. But if we let out the word that people are welcome here and they come legally and they're able to work, which means they wouldn't need all these welfare programs, because that's one of the hitches that a lot of libertarians even say, well, with the welfare state, we can't have all these people coming here. That's because they're not allowed to work. If people are allowed to work, which I believe is a human right to seek work, if they're able to do that, then they wouldn't need those kind of programs. So I think we need to change our system considerably. But unfortunately, it's going to be very hard to make any kind of a change to the immigration system, whether what I'm proposing or what Democrats and Republicans propose, because they are so far apart on this issue. Even when there was like a coalition of senators on both sides that came together to come up with some plan a few months ago, Donald Trump says, "Oh, nope, forget it." And then all the Republicans, even though they liked the plan, just dropped off of it. It's just like it's totally political. It's a hot potato, and there really needs to be some kind of we really need to do something about this. And it's terrible that there's so much partisan divide on it.
Yeah.
What Cara was saying earlier, you can't give the other side a win. That's the whole reason to kill it. You can't give the other side a win because then they'll win the next election. People want power instead of wanting to do what's right for the U.S. And that's why I think a libertarian gold rush is needed, because, we were saying last week when we were talking, or 2 weeks ago, we were talking immigration. That was last week. They could actually go back home during the off season and not be a burden on us and enjoy the fruits of their labors that they made here back home where the money goes longer, and then come back out to the season next year if we allow free and open,
Yes,
there's a lot of things that need to change, but the only thing our Senate agreed upon was voting on 87 billion during the Super Bowl and trying to hire 87,000 new IRS agents, because that's where their priority is, taking our money and doing things that screw us over during high holy days. That's what our government does. It's divide and conquer.
It is. And of course, those IRS agents, obviously, I would vote to defund and abolish the IRS, definitely. Now, in fairness, all those agents are not being hired this week. That's like over a 10-year period or something. But still, they want to audit more people. They want to collect more people, collect money from more people. And they say, Biden said, oh, anybody under $400,000 a year, which is most people are under $400,000 a year, have nothing to worry about. But in reality, the IRS audits more people in the lower income brackets because they can't fight back. And they don't keep as good of records and everything. Some of those well-to-do people have accountants. They have much better record keeping and everything. So, it's much harder to go after them. And they probably were more accurate in doing their taxes. So there's not going to be much able to be collected from that. So it's always like to harass our people and eat out their substance, like Thomas Jefferson wrote in the Declaration of Independence about King George. And it's the same now about King government here in Washington.
King Biden and King Trump.
Any of them. They're just. The IRS is going to do what the IRS is going to do, no matter who's president. But if they have more people to do it, they'll do more, and they're going to keep trying to increase their influence. They can keep getting higher and higher budgets every year. So that's what bureaucrats do in all these departments. They try to justify their existence. So if they say, hey, we've collected an extra $50 billion, Congress say, wow, maybe we get another 87,000 agents to do that, even though they're probably losing money because probably one agent's collected that and the other 85,000 haven't collected anything. It's probably a couple of guys that are just real good at it. And again, they just like to keep increasing the number of government employees and the number of bureaucrats. That's what they do in all the departments.
So Ted, I'm going to show off your website real quick, and I think I got your website here. Yes, tedbrown.org.
That's it.
And yes, it is. I'm going to show it off a little bit. So we go. This is your homepage.
It is.
We got some pictures here from your endorsements. There is Ted Brown with Mr. Ron Paul.
Right. Well, he hasn't endorsed me, but that's a picture the last time I saw him was at one of those Mises Institute speeches a few years ago there. But
how much does it cost to get a Ron Paul endorsement?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know who's been getting them. I don't know if anybody's been getting them, but I like Ron Paul. In fact, I supported Ron Paul way back before it was cool, back in the 80s when he was the presidential candidate of the Libertarian Party in 1988, and I was a big supporter of his then. And now, over the years, there's been some people that he works with that are a little bit more questionable that, have written some things under his name that are kind of questionable. And
well, I think that picture is as good of an endorsement as ever. I don't have a picture with him, but I haven't met him. So, but
overall, he's a good guy, and he's been very, very positive for this country. Oh, and one thing you mentioned about Bernie Sanders earlier, back in when Ron was in Congress and he proposed the Audit the Fed bill, back around 2008 or so, his Senate co-sponsor was Bernie Sanders. So he and Bernie were up there together wanting to audit the Fed. So, and you find this, like even on some votes in Congress now, who people are considered on the extreme left, like the Squad, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and some of those folks, and some of the most right-wing Republicans, like Thomas Massey and Matt Gaetz and a few of these people, they're the only ones voting against certain bills, the most extreme, what are considered the most extreme Republicans and the extreme Democrats. And that's about the only thing that they'll agree on, is to oppose some of the areas where the consensus in politics is that the government has to do certain things, but you have to be on the outer fringes like we are, I suppose, to believe that the government shouldn't do those things. It should be just the opposite. It should be standard Americana, that the government shouldn't be doing all these horrible things, but that's the consensus that they should, and that's who mostly gets elected to Congress.
Oh, we got some more. This is, I believe, your quotes page, and I really liked it.
My favorite quotes from people. Yeah, the first one there from William Lloyd Garrison is an excellent one, and there's a lot down there because over the years I've collected those. Yeah. Oh yeah. Just because you don't take an interest in politics doesn't mean politics won't take an interest in you. Yeah, 2,500 years ago they knew that. I tell people, like especially young people, they say, "Oh, I'm not interested in politics." And I say, "Well, that means the people that are gonna make decisions that you don't like. You need to be in there in the arena to try to influence things. If you aren't there, you're going to get abused by the people that do participate."
And the people that do participate are always on the fringes, man. They're the crazy ones who are really far super right or really far super left because they want their agenda passed.
They do.
So this one, I want to read this one. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered. Yet we have this consolation with us. The harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. We obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. It would be strange indeed if so celebrated an article as freedom should not be highly rated. Thomas Paine.
Exactly. Yeah, he was quite the essayist of the Revolution back in the 1700s, and he was a vital component to U.S. independence. He whipped up the public with his best-selling pamphlets and books to support leaving the English fold, shall we say.
He's the one that all men are created equal.
I'm not sure if it was him or I think Jefferson got a lot of his ideas from John Locke, the philosopher from the 1690s, the first treatise of government, and some of that you study in political science class, like early on. That was like the earliest notions in the English-speaking world about individual rights and individuals against the government.
Yeah. So, Ted, how much money have you raised? Oh, getting right to it.
Uh-oh.
Where'd you go?
We lost Ted.
We lost Ted. I asked him.
Ted, we lost your picture. Oh, there he's back. But he's frozen.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Yeah.
we got you again. You're back.
Okay,
So
good.
yesterday was FEC filing day. Ted, how much you raised?
It's time. Yeah, I'm sorry. Somebody was trying to call in there. Oh, sorry about that.
I don't think he heard you. The question.
Okay.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah. So how much money you raised for your campaign, Ted?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Uh-oh. How much money have you raised?
I can go off and come back on.
Yeah, you should. Yeah,
drop off and come back on.
We're going to a commercial. Easy day. Easy day. What are we gonna do? I feel like we're gonna follow our heart.
Which we receive.
I'm going to serve the people.
So speaking of the people, one thing I'm asking from all the candidates is, what do you believe the people of Hawaii can do? Not just in the sense of elections, but in the sense of their community right now and for the future.
They can do whatever they want. The sky is the limit. Their potential is only limited by their imagination and their will. So I think that if I were to say someone to do something as an individual is to follow your heart, follow your dreams, work hard. And maybe that's about politics, or maybe it's not. The message is still the same, though.
Right on.
All right. Aloha.
Aloha.
Right. So, we got Ted. Is he here?
He's not quite back yet. I was laughing because he quoted Thomas Paine, and then he talked about John Locke, and Locke and Kant were always big on the individual and the rights of the individual and being protected. So I dug that. Mm-hmm. And I used to paraphrase that quote he gave by Paine: that which is esteemed too free, or that which is gained too freely is esteemed too lightly. I used to say, bros don't appreciate free shit. People ultimately don't appreciate free shit. And that's what that means. If we get it too easily, we don't work for it, and they just want more and more. I think he's having issues coming in.
I'm gonna cut to another commercial. I'm coming to yours.
Okay. I'm going to read this one because I think it's important that I get it out. Someone asked why they should vote for me. And I looked at him and I said, okay, this is what I said. I like to preach and I like to teach. And like others, I love the sound of my own voice. But this isn't about me. This isn't about what I believe. I don't care what your politics are. There is only one reason to vote for me. I'm going to tear it all down. I'm only going to tell you the truth. We borrow $100,000 per second. That money is directly transferred to those with assets through taxation and inflation. In other words, the bank owns us. And not only are we not fighting it, we are normalizing our enslavement. Vote Libertarian.
All right.
He came back in for a second.
He came back for a second. You know what? We're getting to the last 15 minutes of our show, and I'm gonna just run through some commercials, some of the ones that we haven't played in a while. And I do want to do this little spot here because we haven't mentioned it in a while either. We have Florida's own Nathaniel Snyder, one night, 2 arenas, 1 fighter, October 11th in St. Pete at the Coliseum at 535 4th North Avenue, North St. Petersburg, Florida. And this is the Florida Ride or Die. It is Operation Warrior Hope, and it's a fundraiser. it is a fundraiser. So if you are available and you are around, let's spread the news, spread the good noise about that. And
October 11th, that one. But don't forget to vote for the man on November 5th.
That's
Remember, this 5th of November, vote gold, vote Libertarian.
And I've got one of his commercials too that I'm going to play. There it is. I'll play that one.
I'm an outsider. I'm not a politician. I'm a mechanic by trade. I'm a single father of 3 amazing sons. My oldest is disabled. He'll never be able to do the things that his younger brothers can do. I've struggled, like the many Americans and citizens in our nation, to find a school for him that fits his specific needs. I'm not a millionaire. I don't come from huge money. And the reality is, our education system doesn't provide schools for these specific needs. I've struggled to maintain a full-time job while standing at a bus stop that's late. I've struggled to get to work on time. I've struggled to survive in a system that doesn't represent the working class. I've had to budget finances. I've skipped meals. I've done what every loving parent has had to do and sacrifice to ensure that their children are properly taken care of. And I finally made a choice to run for Congress to make sure that this chaos stops. That every single parent and every family has an opportunity to thrive and succeed, to give us a fighting chance again. I'm Nathaniel Snyder. I'm not a politician. I'm a working class American. I'm a single father. And I'm done watching the political class destroy us. SnyderForFL.com.
A record number of Americans favor a new political party.
57% of Americans still believe a third major political party is necessary.
Voting third party is a wasted vote? Bullshit. This is the establishment's most successful lie in modern politics. America is the only major country with free elections to only have 2 viable options. Not anymore. The Libertarian Party is the fastest growing political party in America and will be on the ballot in all 50 states. And when we talk about winning, we don't just mean winning the White House. There's all kinds of wins you can have in your state if you vote Libertarian today. We can win ballot access that makes it easier for future candidates to run for office. We can win major party status that gives us more attention from the major media.
I think it's a great day to be a Libertarian.
And we can have Libertarians getting elected all over the country in local races. Whenever Libertarian candidates are able to break through the mainstream media blackout, our support grows. In my televised debate with Senator Raphael Warnock, I was able to reach out to millions of voters. Many of them realized that they were Libertarian all along and just didn't know it. Why is that the radical idea, not the rational idea? If you live in a solid blue or a solid red state, voting for Trump or Biden is a wasted vote, and it won't change the outcome. Voting Libertarian is the only way to make your vote truly count. Currently, all the 2 major parties have to do is be slightly less evil than the other side to win. Let's make the statement that we will accept no evil. When someone tells you you're wasting your vote, recognize that they don't care about you. It's a selfish statement. They are saying that your beliefs aren't worth being represented, that you should silence your voice so theirs can be louder. Vote your conscience, not someone else's politics. Breaking up the duopoly is the only chance for the real radical change needed to give the power back to you, the people. Voting for Chase Oliver for president will contribute to bringing more choices into our political system. A successful third party forces the 2 old parties to think about the issues Americans truly care about. Keep them honest. Show them they must earn your vote. Change begins at the grassroots. I'm Chase Oliver, a candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Well, I just got a message from Ted, and he said he apologizes, but he wasn't able to get back in. I told him to give it a try again, but we are in the last 8 minutes of our show, and
8 minutes left.
We haven't played all your commercials yet, so I feel like we got to play some more commercials. Do you want to banter a little bit? We can talk a little bit more about healthcare.
I was going to show some of the thingies, the comments.
Oh, yeah. Let's throw some comments on. What we got? Oh, we do have a lot. Let's see. Joe Hanush says, I'll be speaking without notes at tomorrow at Pride Candidate Forum. Nice. Joe is a great speaker, by the way. And we've got a good morning, everyone. We had this question or this comment earlier, and I think this was about, the when we were talking about healthcare and the problems with healthcare. The problem with accelerationism is that it assumes acceleration towards systematic collapse rather than just an acceleration toward billionaires and corporations having such absolute power that literally all labor laws and environmental regulations are removed. Yes, agree.
Well, I think he's saying it's a bad thing, though, as in the corporations will be able to control everything like they used to back in the day. They child labor and all that crap and working them 60 hours, docking their pay. I think he's saying the individual will have no rights, but I don't think an individual should work for a crappy company that treats them bad. And there's a lot of other options. They don't have to. I don't know that regulation is needed. I think less regulation and less of a welfare state would make people actually go out and get better jobs. We give, what, $4 or $6 billion a year to Walmart? And I call that corporate welfare because we give that to them through subsidizing their crappy wages. And Walmart's one of the number one employers in the nation, and they are a decent employer. I get it. But they're a profitable company, and we provide billions per year to their employees when they're a profitable company. I think if we weren't giving them welfare and food stamps and stuff, they'd either find a more lucrative job or Walmart would have to pay more in order to make sure those people could eat. No regulations necessary. Just remove the nets and let it all work out. I think a lot of it would work out without government interference.
We got some more. Joe Hanush, we got signed most anti-2A in recent Florida history when he was governor. That's speaking
Rick Scott, I think. He's talking about Rick Scott.
He also said, we need Feena Bonoan and Mike Scott in the U.S. Senate. The only Scott we need in Senate is Mike Scott. Yeah.
Get rid of Tim Scott. Yeah, but we could take Ted Brown in Senate too. He sounds mad libertarian.
Oh yes, and I'm asking him right now on X if he's taking donations, and if he is, please go to Ted Brown's website. And yes, tedbrown.org. Let's put that banner back up. Boom, right there. It's tedbrown.org. We got some more comments. Where we at? Where was I at? Government shouldn't shut down hospital services when they think the pandemic is for our safety. Yeah, that's smart. Yeah. Don't shut down.
They didn't shut down the weed stores or McDonald's, but they shut down businesses. And they arrested you for hanging out on the beach in Florida by yourself. The government just did a huge experiment to see if Americans actually cared about liberty. It was called
We failed.
Failed bad. People still think it was a minor inconvenience. I don't even know where to start.
Then we got Casey Crow. What? I didn't know Cara was an Air Force vet. And yes, she is. I know it's hard to, really wrap your minds around it, folks, but we've had women serving in the military for a long time now in all the branches. And I'm a veteran, and veterans aren't all male, and they can be women. They can be beautiful women even.
And she said late 80s, early 90s. That puts her a little bit older than me because I joined in 1990. So, I mean, extremely attractive woman, especially for being so advanced in years, like, me.
Seasoned. Seasoned. She is seasoned.
Seasoned. Yes, yes. Kept the bait fresh, as they say.
Yes. Joe Hanush also says grow gardens, not government. That's in reference to Cara's initiative in her city about on those city government parks.
People don't talk about that enough. I think it should be, was it BJ Penn said, big farmer, not big pharma? Because he was saying that a lot of eating right and nutrition, yeah, BJ Penn, a lot of eating right, nutrition would cut down a lot of the sickness that we have. Getting out, taking walks in nature, you know, lose some weight, get off all the pills, you know, under a doctor's care and all that. That's my disclaimer. But a healthier lifestyle would do more than throwing more money at a failing healthcare program that has failed across all avenues. I mean, in every way, it's failing. We have worse healthcare outcomes and we're dying earlier and we're paying more.
Well, you know what? We can't solve all of our problems today. But we can start working on them today. And hopefully we'll get there. And with that,
see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.
Shaka, brother. Yo.